Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Sound Design Monday. Your host Sanswell. This is going to be episode 22. And today we are going to be creating a Melbourne lead to go with the Melbourne bass we created, I believe like a few weeks ago. And this is how the lead's going to sound like. Lower octave. And last octave. Okay. So if you're interested in that lead, stick around. Something a little bit different from the big room type of tutorials I've been making. I'm also going to be starting a new sound design day for more transy tutorials, and I'm also going to start another day mainly for sounds like for trap and ambient and all that stuff. So make sure to like my Facebook page and follow all that stuff. I also released some new sound banks on there, so make sure to like my page and go check out the downloads tab. So let's get straight into making this sound. So the sound was really I got really inspired by it. I mean, I know a lot of the Melbourne bounce guys like Joel Fletcher, Peeping Tom, that makes tutorials on YouTube as well. You should go check them out. A lot of their leads come from sampled vocals. So if I were to go to my sample pack here, you'll have SM101. The yeah lead you hear in Will Sparks' yeah comes from here. Let me lower the thing a bit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So when Will Sparks made his lead, he used this sample.
Oh yeah.
And pretty much what they do is they sample it. So I thought maybe I'd show you guys different ways you can use synthesizers to get voices out as well. So this is what we're doing here. And most of the time, whenever you want to get a voice out of a synthesizer, the number one synth to go to is always going to be Massive, because those sounds that you create, that whole emulation of creating like the synth saying ah or yeah, all comes from modulation through envelopes and LFOs. It's all up to you how you choose to pursue it. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So oscillator 1, we're going to be having a sine and square basic wave. We're going to have the wavetable position at around 2 o'clock. Don't worry about the 5. The green 5 you see, that's just an LFO being routed to there that we'll put there in the future. Here we have the pitch up to 12, so it's going to be up an octave. If you're not really good with music theory, an octave up is pretty much, let's say you play a note, let's say you play a C. Well, then you just go up an octave, so you play the higher C. Then here we have oscillator, we go to intensity for oscillator 1, and it's going to be set to 11 o'clock. The amp's all the way down, so it's going to be up. You're going to leave this in the middle, filter 1. For all these filters, you're going to route it, just leave it in the middle. So it's going to get a little bit of 1, but not, it's not going to be completely drowned by filter 1. For oscillator 2, we're going to have a square and saw 1 basic wave, and we're going to set that to 10 o'clock, the pitch up to 12. Now, wavetable positions, guys, is just pretty much how the wave is going to be released through the oscillator. Now, a lot of the times in Massive, pretty much, as you can see, we have sine and square, smooth square. But you see there's two types, square and saw, and then sine and square and so forth. Not to really get into it, but just think of a wavetable position as you can change how much of a certain wave is going to be, you're going to have. So here we're going to have it at 10 o'clock. So obviously we're going to have more of a square wave than a saw 1 wave. So the neat thing about this is that you can put this straight in the middle and you'll have a little bit of the square and a little bit of the saw. And that's something I really like about Massive, that it allows you to do that. So now we're going to go into intensity here in oscillator 2, which is going to be set to 1, and the amp is going to be set to 1 as well. Oscillator 3, we're going to be applying a square and saw 2. There's really not that much big of a difference between the oscillator the oscillator 2 square and saw and then the oscillator 3. A lot of times I say in my sound design tutorials, you see me tweak things but very little, where it barely does anything, but the whole point is that little things add up and you create an amazing sound like that. So oscillator 3, we're going to have pitch up to 12, wavetable position set around between 2 and 3 o'clock. You can decide where to put it. You don't really have to be exact here. Intensity is going to be a little bit above all the way, so around 4 o'clock. The amp's going to be set at around 2 and between 2 and 3, so you can decide where to put it. That's just going to control the volume. Okay, so now we go into filter 1. We're going to be having a band reject filter. Cutoff is going to be set to 1 o'clock. The bandwidth we're going to be choosing is going to be set to 9 o'clock. And the resonance is going to be set to 12. Now, I've always tried to explain resonance and cutoff, and then people are always trying to correct me and stuff. And there's various ways you can explain stuff. But all I'm going to say is if you really want to know what resonance is you can go look at a picture of a filter. I mean, if you Google resonance filter on Google, it'll pop an image up, and it'll be easy to see what it is. But if I were to use this filter here, the auto filter from Ableton, the resonance is going to be this. So a high resonance is going to have it like this. As you can see, the amplitude of this here, and then it goes to a slope. So resonance down all the way up. So pretty much that's what it's controlling. So if I had a high resonance here, it would go like that. Middle resonance, so forth. Okay, so you're going to set this all the way up here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to be adding that phasing sound. If you don't know what phasing is, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you right now. If I play the sound right now, you're going to hear that kind of well, what phasing is going to be doing is it's going to be doing that. If you see here in the meter level for volume 2, you can see left and right switch between who's the highest. So that's what's going to be happening here. So here we're going to phase in the modulation oscillator. We're going to phase filter, oscillator 1. We're going to set the phasing to around 8 o'clock, and we're going to set an LFO later. Next, we go into the noise section. Bright noise is my favorite type of noise to use, generally because you can set the color all the way up here, and pretty much what you're going to get is pretty much a high frequency of white noise. And generally, that's what I like. That's where I like my white noise to sit, just so it doesn't clog up the mix. So we're going to set the amp of this to 9. It's going to barely be heard. We're just going to add a little bit of more frequency to the sound so it sounds more full. Pretty much that's the goal with the noise here. Next, we're going to go into our envelope 4, which is now going to be by default set to the amp here, as you can see 4. And I think it should be like this by default, but if it's not, then the attack is set to 8 o'clock, so it's not set all the way down. Level all the way up, decay at center, and then the level all the way up. Our release is going to be set to around 8 o'clock. Next, we're going to go into envelope 1. Now we're going to start getting into our modulations here. So here what we have is going to be we're going to be setting our delay to 2 o'clock. So that's going to delay how long it takes for the attack to start kicking in. And once the delay is done, we're going to get our attack, which is going to slowly increase. It's not going to be a fast attack. Level all the way up. And pretty much what's going to happen here is we're going to have this, whatever it's being set to, is going to take this. First off, it's going to take this long for it to start. And then our attack's going to kick in. It's going to take this long for whatever is being modulated to reach max value of whatever you input. And then it's going to decay. And it's going to have a sustain here, but a very little sustain, as you can see. And then it's going to be a release. So whatever we are going to be setting this to is going to be controlled by this. So here we're going to click on these arrows here, and we're going to set this to oscillator 2 and oscillator 3. So when you set it to oscillator 2, yours is going to look like this. So let me see. There we go. So pretty much all you're going to do to get it like the way it looked on mine, you're going to click on the 1, hold it, and then you're going to drag down all the way. For oscillator 3, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to click and drag up all the way. And pretty much all we're doing here is we are modulating through envelopes. And we're just changing the wavetable position. Okay? Just to make sure I didn't modulate anything else. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we are going to go into LFO 5, which is going to be routed to oscillator 1. And pretty much what we're going to have is going to be pretty much a sine wave. and you kind of want it to look like this. So what's gonna happen is the LFO is gonna start here, and this is how it's gonna work at this certain rate. So our rate's gonna be set to 2 o'clock, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on the LFO. We're gonna get the 5, drag it here. It's gonna look like this. You're gonna click on the 5 and drag it all the way up. And now what's gonna happen is it's gonna be modulated. Now the difference between envelope modulation and LFO modulation is pretty much LFO modulation. You use the picture of waves. You can say that. Really, I don't really want to get into the technicality of it, but the way I see it, if I were to show this to someone new, is I would say, look at the wave, the picture of the wave, and here we have it. We have a sine. So what's gonna happen is the LFO is gonna work. It's gonna increase to max volume, and it's gonna slowly increase to low value, as opposed to having a square wave where it's just gonna be the slope is really set at 0. So pretty much what's gonna happen is your value is gonna remain the same, and then it's gonna go to the highest value, and it's gonna go back to normal value and so forth. So we're gonna be having a sine here. Drag it to here and just make sure it's like that. Okay. Next we go to LFO 6, and we're gonna be using another sine type of wave. I would like to call this a cosine, if I remember, for trigonometry. So pretty much you want your picture to look like this. You're gonna click on the sine, and pretty much you're gonna drag it till it looks like this. So now what's gonna happen is we're gonna be set at high volume, at a high value, and we're gonna go straight down to the low and then back up to the high value. So we're gonna set the LFO 6 to filter 1 here. Pretty much you want to drag it till you're like around 230, between 2 and 3. We're gonna drag this over here to our phase modulation here, and we're gonna slowly click and pull up by a little bit till it's set to 9 o'clock. Okay, so once we have that, we should be done with most of our modulation here. Now you can tell someone you created a sound using modulation, which is kind of a little bit a little bit hard sometimes when you're trying to set these modulations to be exact. So now we go into our voicing. Our voicing is going to be set to unisono 1. You could put it higher, but the reason it's set at 1 is because we're already using 3 oscillators here. We have oscillator 3, oscillator 2, and oscillator 1 running. So if I were to put the voices up, it's going to be too loud to use. So we're going to be setting it at 1. This is going to be a mono sound. Monotate. So pretty much what monotate's going to do is it's just going to allow you to play one note, I believe. So if you try to play chords, it's going to play the first note you hit. Trigger is going to be set to always. And pretty much we're going to be done here. We're going to go into the oscillation section here. This is where you can put your macros. The vibrato should be set automatically. Next, we're going to be putting a glide. So pretty much you're going to click here. You're going to drag the 2 here, set the time all the way down. And then you're going to click on the 2 and drag all the way up. And you're going to call this glide. So pretty much what gliding is, it's going to be sort of a legato type effect, but it's going to create more of a Dutchy feel to it if you're going to switch through notes. Low. So it's how long it takes one note to go to the next note. So usually glides are used in Dutch house, and for those type of leads, you want that kind of effect. So for me, I would set it around 12 or around 10, depending on what you're trying to go for with the sound. Okay, so once we have that, let's go into our effects section here. And sounds are nothing without effects. You get a simple saw wave and you put in or reverb on it, and then all of a sudden it sounds really good. That's why you don't work with the effects on, you work without them off, and then you add them at the end once you're done with creating your sound. So, you know, sounds way better. So here we're going to be putting a reverb, dry and wet set to between 9 and 10 o'clock. You can decide where to put it. Size is going to be set to around 12. Density is going to be set to around 1 o'clock, and the color is going to be set between 2 and 3. Next, we're going to be putting a dimension expander. I kind of see it as using the utility in Ableton here. And as you can see, the width of the sound, you can increase it using utility, which I put on pads all the time. That's a quick tip. If you're going to use pads, make sure to put utility on it and widen them out a bit so they don't clog the middle part of your stereo field. So next, we're going to be putting this dimension expander to the sound. We're going to set the dry and wet to around 1. Size is going to be set to 1 o'clock. And that should be it for that. on our EQ section of massive, which you can choose to turn on or off. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure it's look like this, which should be by default, so I don't even know why I turned it on. Okay guys, so once we have all that, we should be getting the desired results. And so I hope you guys had fun creating this sound. Melbourne Bounds is a fun genre to create. Really tried making it. It's really simple to make. You just make sure your ideas are top notch. Like I said, check out Peeping Tom. He has a really good tutorial for those modulated voice samples that you can create if you're looking for that more realistic type lead with the voice. So anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure to like my page on Facebook, subscribe, comment, like. Preset will be up on my Facebook site today, and I'll see you guys next time.